This striking image comes from the very first national park in the world, one of America's best ideas, the national park. This comes from Yellowstone National Park, which is located in northwestern Wyoming. It's about a 16-hour drive from here, and it's just one of those places that you have to physically experience. It is just breathtaking, and it is yours by your birthright, by your American citizenship. These are our public lands, and we need to fight to keep them this way. So please go visit a national park. Yellowstone is home to some 10,000 hydrothermal features because Yellowstone sits atop a super volcano, one that is so big we better hope that it doesn't erupt anytime soon because it would bury Phoenix underneath I don't know how many feet of ash. But this is one of Yellowstone's famous hot springs. Those vibrant colors, those are not mineral deposits. That color, that's life. Those are living microorganisms, colorful bacteria creating oranges and greens, as well as thermophiles or heat lovers, archaea that are thriving in these near boiling water temperatures. So here's a color enhanced image of these single celled microorganisms taken with an extremely powerful microscope called a scanning electron microscope. Those prokaryotic microbes, those are not true bacteria. They are radically different from bacteria, so much so that they exist in their own domain of life, the archaea. We know all about the archaea. They were made famous by the pioneering genetic work of the microbiologist Carl Woese. Really cool story about him and his students driving out to Yellowstone and collecting samples from the hot springs. It's wonderfully told in David Quammen's book called The Tangled Tree. As you will remember, the archaea consist of the extremophiles, the heat lovers, the thermophiles that we find in Yellowstone's hot springs, the acid-loving archaea that live in volcanic hot springs, the halophiles or the salt lovers that live in the Great Salt Lake or the Dead Sea, which looks pretty amazing. These archaea, these ancient ones, offer us a glimpse into what the first life forms on our planet were like. This is truly the planet of the prokaryotes. They were here long before us, and they will be here long after humans and all the other eukaryotic organisms are long gone. Why? Prokaryotes are able to thrive in every conceivable habitat on the planet, from way up in the atmosphere to deep within the Earth's crust, from the Himalayan peaks to the Mariana Trench, some 36,000 feet below sea level. Countless prokaryotes even make their living on and within organisms like you and I. Perhaps you've had strep throat, which is caused by colonizing streptococcus. Or maybe you've had a bladder infection, also the result of invading and colonizing bacteria. Pathogens aside, the human organism itself is more like an ecosystem, really. We consist of about 30 trillion eukaryotic human cells, and also about 39 trillion prokaryotic bacterial cells. In other words, you are 1.3 part microbe for every 1 part human. The microbiome living in your intestinal tract is a veritable rainforest of biodiversity. And this community of bacteria that you house in your gut probably influences all kinds of things, from your propensity to store fat, as well as your mental health and what's known as the gut brain axis. You can see the microbes working away, and then we can see some of that really important insoluble fiber. So we've established that some prokaryotes are pathogens, they cause disease. Others are vital to our survival, like the microbes that live in our intestinal tract. But most prokaryotes are benign. They don't really impact our lives. That said, we actually owe a huge debt of gratitude to the bacteria. Why? Because we have hijacked their cellular machinery that evolved to cut up invading bacteriophages. Those are viruses that attack bacteria in what is probably the most transformative biotech tool ever developed. So the ability to edit DNA with what are akin to tiny molecular scissors and paste is known as the CRISPR-Cas9 system. And again, we borrowed this from bacteria, and now it is transforming our ability to genetically modify organisms. So be sure and check out the video below.